Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. I know I always say that I don't typically make TBRs on this channel, but I've done so for the past couple months just because I have like a combination of various event type things that I've done on booktube, and also because I am trying to finish up certain books that I have had on my physical TBR for a long time in anticipation of having a baby later this December. So I am going to be doing a November TBR video. A couple of these books are for read-alongs or book clubs, and then November is nonfiction November. I actually don't know if that was like started by a singular person or if there's any sort of official discussion forum for that. It's just a thing that I see people doing every year, and although I read nonfiction all year round, I specifically chose 3 nonfiction books that I want to get to in November for nonfiction November. So let's start with the stuff I'm doing for group reads first, and then we'll end with the 3 books that are specifically for nonfiction November. So the first book is going to be for my nonfiction book club. This is Into Unknown Skies, An Unlikely Team, A Daring Race, and the First Flight Around the World by David K. Randall. So this is a book about the history of the early days of aviation, which is something I know a cursory amount about. This is probably not a book that I would have picked up on my own to read, but it is supposed to be pretty good. It's about like one of the early aviation races that took place in the 1920s, and that's all I know about that. Let's do the 2 sort of group reads next. So this is a sort of continuation from October, but those of us who subscribe to Jared Henderson on Substack are currently reading Aristotle's Politics. Let me tell you, I have not read like this since I was in undergrad studying classics, and this like Loeb Classical Library thing is really sending me back. I have not read from the Politics in a while. We are attempting to go through about 1 book per week. I am a little bit behind, but hopefully we'll be catching up pretty soon. And this is a reading project that's going to see us through to the end of the year. But you know, 4 of those weeks are going to be in November, so that's on the list as well. And then the next one is a buddy read or group read with some folks on YouTube. Pat from Book Chat with Pat, I think Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, and a few other people that I haven't really met yet. But we are doing a read-along of John Irving's novel, The Cider House Rules, which I have never read before. And I've actually never read any John Irving, and I've been meaning to fix that for years and years and years now, particularly because my mom has always said he's one of her favorite authors, and I just want to read this so that I can like talk about his books with her. This one is, I think, what people on BookTube are calling like a mini mammoth. If a mammoth is a book that's over 1,000 pages, a mini mammoth is like a 500+ page book, and this one is nearly 600 pages. So hopefully I get through the whole thing in the month of November. I don't really know too much about this book, except it's about a doctor sort of like being trained up in a rural area, and there's some like crisis of conscience that causes conflict between him and his older doctor mentor. That is the only thing I know about this book, and I don't know why the Cider House rules. I don't know if these are rules you follow or rules as in, yeah, it's awesome, but I guess I'll find out this November. All right, and the 3 nonfiction books that I have selected for like if I get to them, that's great. If not, oh well, I'm not in trouble, for nonfiction November. The first is One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This. This is a book by Omar Al-Akkad. The title of it comes from a tweet that he wrote not too long after the events of October 7th, 2023, and Israel's ongoing genocidal response to the Hamas terrorist attack on October 7th. So this is a book that I picked up, and I think I picked up originally from, here's what happened. I picked it up from the library. It had a really long waiting list, so I wasn't able to finish it by the time it had to go back. had to go back. Some time passed, and then I found this at kind of a really good price, so I decided to purchase the book, support the author, and I wanted to read this before the year was out anyway. So I'm expecting this is going to be a very short but very powerful read. Next is actually a book that I gave to my husband as a Christmas present some years back that I have been meaning to read since I bought it for him, and I still haven't. It is For Small Creatures Such as We, Rituals for Finding Meaning in Our Unlikely World by Sasha Sagan. She is the daughter of Carl Sagan and Andrew Yan, and I believe she is also a scientist. No, she's not. She's a literature person. That's really cool. Holds a degree in dramatic literature from NYU. You love to see the combination of literature and science all in the same family. But yeah, this is basically like a humanist book about how like rituals are meaningful for us in our lives as humans, and how like we can participate in this essential feature of our species and our species' way of making meaning in the world without necessarily having to have it be a part of organized religion. So always all about that kind of thing. And then the final book was a recommendation from my friend Alina, who's Eclectic Reads here on BookTube. She and I share a passion for animals and reading animal-related nonfiction, and she recommended Cattail, The Wild, Weird Battle to Save the Florida Panther by Craig Pittman. I am from Florida originally. Florida panther conservation was a huge deal in the 90s when I was growing up, and I believe the species is slowly but surely like rallying in terms of population, but they are truly a beloved icon of the state. The Florida Panthers is the ice hockey team named after this species, and Alina always gives such good recommendations for like animal books or just nonfiction reads that I've never even heard of, but then go on to become some of my favorite books. So gonna check that out as well. Are you gonna be reading anything special for Nonfiction November or for any other events that you have going on? I don't know what other events are going on BookTube in November. I know October is absolutely stacked with stuff between Victober for Victorian novels, and there's a bunch of like detective readathons and paranormal readathons and Halloween readathons and stuff happening. I just kind of made my own way for that. But yeah, let me know if you're participating in any events or if you have a book that you absolutely cannot wait to read this November. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.